Deroko ready? Fakii ready?
Niko ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Playhouse. Let me just say that, Yani, I've done over 60 CTAs, but I have never gotten pressure like this in my life to restart or to bring back somebody on CTA. Yani, the pressure is so much, Fakii. When I do a post with just the chair asking, hey guys, guess who we are shooting? 99% of the comments ni Fakii. But let me just say, the conversation that we had ilikuwa moto. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Ini round 3 tunashoot.
Aki.
By the way tunamaliza leo. Acha hii story. Tunamaliza leo.
Na niko na pressure.
Umejipatia pressure?
Hey, nimejipatia pressure. But audience wamenipatia pressure pia. But I love the feedback. I love parts where people were actually reminding me of some stuff. You know, things that I said, and then I go to the comments and I see their reactions, I see posts, I see comments, I see the feedback they're giving, and it's amazing. It's an amazing thing you're doing with CTA.
Actually, let me ask you, I'd like to know from you how has the feedback been? Because I'm sure you've done many interviews.
Actually, okay, I've done a considerable number of interviews, but this is the first time where, and I have to say this, where I've gotten a chance to be able to bear it all, where there are no time constraints, like in a radio or a TV station where it has to be under the hour, because at the top of the hour they have to go and do news, or in between they have to do commercials and things like that. And a lot of times, actually, one of the weaknesses of doing interviews, and a number of artists, or let me say personalities, don't like doing interviews, because a lot of times the person who's interviewing you will ask you a question. As you're answering, they're rehearsing the next question. So they're not even listening to what answer you're giving them. And it's very draining on a personality. And for me, having worked with artists, I can tell you this. The same way an artist stands on stage and draws energy from the audience. It's the same way they draw energy from the interviewer when they're doing an interview. It's like, I really enjoyed my CTA sessions with you because you're interested in the story. So it makes me tell you more.
Your story.
No, remember when we had this conversation about doing CTA, I told you that I'm worried my story would be boring. But then one of the great things about CTA is your interest in the story.
Yeah.
And even you don't rush, you actually push for more. You actually you make someone go deeper into a story, and then the comments are what are now making me realize, like you said, our normal in the industry is not normal for
the audience,
people out there. So I realized that the stories that we just keep in the industry, kumbe guys actually want to hear them. So
yeah.
I'm glad there's a forum like this, there's a platform like this. But more so, what I'm realizing, especially from comments that are coming to me, and I believe even someone like BN probably got the same, if not more, actually probably more. Njugush probably got more. That a lot of people who are coming up in the industry are then using this as learning. They're using this as to know what not to do. We are going through stuff so that and when they watch this, they realize then they don't have to, because we've done something, we've tested it, we know the outcome.
Yep.
So they won't have to go through it. So it ends up being some sort of mentorship.
It is. I say potholes filled up by those who came before me. Like when you tell your story, there's two ways to learn stuff. You either go and learn from somebody who learned it, or you experience it and then you learn how to do it or how not to do it. I think the better and the easier way is to speak to your grandfathers and your fathers.
Yeah.
So you are like a grandfather and a father to very many people who've been in the industry. But also what I love about your CTA, and this is just to anybody who ever thinks about coming to CTA, when the opportunity is presented to you, it's your level of vulnerability, your level of openness, your level of realness. That's what I feel like the mentality which you've come and sat on this chair with is one of giving. I feel like Fakii has come here not to show off about all that he's done in his life, but he has come here to give to people through his experiences. So you're not hiding your pains, you're not hiding your successes. Some of the comments that I've seen is something like, thank you so much for sharing the numbers. You get?
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing the numbers. Like, because that's, people say, hey, nilipatiwa do, but people never really say how much money it is.
Was, yeah.
Okay, I want us to continue with this story. Hey, I'm already excited. You've already started dropping gems. And then also one thing guys have loved is the way you tell your story. I will tell you why this is important. But let me tell you later. That thing has in fact, in other guys' CTAs, guys are writing that as a comment. I've laughed.
And you know, it's because I want you to appreciate the story and the story behind the person, or the story about the person, more than the person. Like when I tell you a story of something Pinye did or Styles did, I want you to appreciate that thing that he did and not be blinded by the big name.
Which is an art of storytelling.
Okay, I've never done this. So.
Clearly, there's some storytelling. Okay, I want us to start this CTA with some recap.
Yes.
I'm sure there's a lot of feedback that has come your way.
I've even written notes.
I've written notes.
I've written notes. I've written notes.
Nimekuja CTA na notes.
Hey, nimekuja CTA na notes.
Okay, let's sort of do like a recap episode.
Okay.
What do you want to touch on?
Okay, number one, and I hope I've written them in an order that will make sense. So we talked about my earlier days of HomeBoyz when we had this, before even the big DJ competition, Stylus, we had a DJ competition where I talked about when we went into the malls just to test the idea of the DJ Academy.
Yes.
And we had people winning in those sessions, and they got scholarships into the DJ Academy eventually when it started. So you know Steve of Mosound? Steve-O, he won one of them. You know DJ Wesley? Wesley is the other one who won that competition. Wesley came into the DJ Academy. Wesley ended up going through the DJ Academy. He was so good, he was so diligent, he was so disciplined. Wesley was retained by HomeBoyz to start shadowing DJs on the gigs.
What?
And then, remember now, this time, a lot of the gigs used to be at night. So, and were over the weekend. But Wesley wanted more. So Wesley used to now come to the school to shadow Kev. Wesley ended up as one of the lecturers of the DJ Academy.
You know, it's so funny because a lot of guys have talked on CTA and said one of the teachers who was teaching them was Wesley.
Yes.
You get like on St. Peter's, I think you mentioned DJ Wesley was one of the guys. But I've never heard about the introduction of DJ Wesley into the game. So it was, he entered HomeBoyz via not the Stylus competition, but the thing of the malls.
Yes, which was before Stylus, yes.
You know, I sat down with Steve-O, by the way, is one of the guys who's been addicted to this CTA now. Okay, well, okay, that's a good recap. And Steve-O, let me say, Steve-O is one person who will definitely sit on this chair. You know, even we call him Steve-O Mosound, but that guy is
let me tell you, Steve-O,
a lot of things, he's still in the game.
Let me tell you something else about Steve-O that, and I won't go deep into it because it's mostly his story to tell. Remember when Kev started Mosound?
Yep.
There was a time when he went to the US for quite a number of years. I can't remember how long. But Mosound still ran in Kenya. Who was running Mosound at that time? Steve.
What?
Yes.
You know me, I know Mosound from early days.
Yes. Steve ran Mosound in Kenya when Kev was away.
What?
Yes. Steve has come from far.
Yeah.
The other person I wanted to talk about also was a DJ who I knew before, and when I got into HomeBoyz, he first came in, he was just around, like trying to learn things here and there. And we ended up being so close to the point that in my bachelor days, we actually were housemates in South B for almost 1 year.
What?
Yes. And this guy, let me tell you, he's one of the baddest on turntables. So much so that this guy was the head of, when we were doing the DJ competition, and we were going around the whole country.
This is now
with
Stylus.
him. Yes, Stylus. He's the one who was actually setting the parameters for the DJ competition, down to even making sure the setup is done right. You know, small things like the table height, how you move from this side to this side, the judging points and everything. This guy eventually even took over from Babu, playing at F2 on Sunday afternoons. This guy even joined HomeBoyz later. At some point later, went out on his own. This guy, again, thanks to Shafi Weru, had a show on Saturdays on Kiss for almost 1 year. And I remember that because he used to do the mixes and he gives me the CD and I take it to Kiss every week for a whole year. And now this guy is one of the big Kenyan DJs in the US. His name is DJ KD.
What?
Yes.
Okay,
He's a beast on the turntables. Yeah. The other DJ, of course, DJ Babu.
Did KD hit you up by there?
KD. Yeah, he did. He did.
CTA.
But someone else is the one who actually reminded me about, not reminded, like someone else is the one, I think with KD, especially because we lived together for a while. I don't know why it just
slipped.
Yeah.
But I keep saying, like, CTA, you're over 40. CTA, our CTA that we did was 7 hours long. Please note, you can't compress 40 years into 7 hours. Yeah. So you're just sharing your best. Yeah. Then, thanks to one of the comments on one of the YouTube episodes. By the way, guys in the comments, you guys are superstars. There's like a community. Big shout out to 001.
So,
Boy, graduation.
There's a guy who reminded me when I was talking about SEMA, and I talked about when we went round to their houses to tell them yes or no. I mentioned that we went to Kimathi on the way to Outer to go to Kev's house. But someone actually reminded me that Kev actually lived in Umoja. We went to Kina Kev's in Umoja, not Kimathi. Now I remember Kimathi was Sheila, one of the ones who didn't make it.
Okay, Sheila from Kidum.
Yes.
Okay.
So we actually went to Kina Kev's in Umoja because this person said they remember seeing the vans going to Umoja that time.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Guys are fact checking.
Kabisa.
Here with lies, guys will check
Hey,
you.
kabisa. Then, in 2005, 6, I think 6, there was a guy called Masha, Kevin Masharia. He was a producer who was like an understudy with Ogopa DJs.
Oh.
Yes. And a lot of the early Ogopa artists actually know him. We became friends with him, and when there was a time, I can't remember what year, there was a time when Lucas went to Namibia.
Yes,
Yeah?
there was. Do you know how you know Lucas went to Namibia? And this is also to chime in into your story. When I got nominated for chorus and went to Benin, there was a group there, and I meet a female group, two chicks, and these chicks tell me they're girl level from Namibia.
Yes.
And I'm like, hey, what's happening? Hey, let me listen to your music. I'm like, hey, this music sounds like a guy in Kenya who produces us called Ogopa DJs. They're like, yeah, he's our guy. But I'm like, I've never seen you guys in Kenya. They're like, no, Ogopa DJs is now in Namibia.
Yes. So that time when Lucas moved to Namibia, Masha and I got together because I'd always been fascinated by the whole studio thing. So in 2006, I think, or 7, Masha, Nameless, and I formed a company called Zary Media.
Bro, you left out this story. I don't know. You left out a story that.
But I'll tell you why this story is important. I'll tell you why. No.
Umefanya. I'll tell you why this story is important.
No, it's big. Okay, it's something else that actually reminded me this story.
Okay,
so we formed a company called Zary Media, and we went and opened a studio that was at Ramco Court on Mombasa Road. That studio was initially the Sync Sound studio, where Kenya, the first chapter was done, where kina
what do you call these ladies? Serengeti Groove.
Yes, where all those records were done. And then that studio at some point even changed to a Dimples Entertainment Studio. And then when they moved out, there's a guy called Pips who took over the whole office. Then he sublet the studio to us. So we went in and built it. Though at that point, we were largely going for commercials.
Corporate
jobs. And corporate jobs were good. They were good. Now, because we still wanted to still do music, Masha would still do quite a number of songs. Masha even produced one version of the Nameless song, Coming Home, that went on to be in the Sony Music album that was the World Cup album in 2010.
So, is he the one who produced that final version, or he just produced one?
So there are two versions. There is one that was done by RK, and there is one that was done by Masha.
Oh, so Masha's is not the one where we have the video for?
No.
But he produced
Masha's is the one that went on to the Sony World Cup.
Whoa.
Nini, yeah.
Okay.
Album. Now, the reason why I remembered now this story is, remember when we talked about the song that everyone calls Usimpe Roho, but us we called it Tatizo. The song is actually called Tatizo. And at that point, I had this dream of putting different artists together, Kenyan artists together, but using one name. I actually had a dream of an album, like a compilation album, and it was always going to be, like the way right now DJ Khaled has, DJ Khaled featuring Jay-Z, Nas. So that was my idea. So I wanted to do, the brand that I wanted to push was artists.ke. Because if you look at the metadata for that song that everyone calls Usimpe Roho, it's actually artists.ke as the artist name, then Tatizo is the name of the song. Then featuring, then now you name all those artists. That's how the metadata is. Now, when I was at Zary with Nameless and Masha, we did a song. You know that song because you were pals with one of the artists. So we did a song that we ended up not doing the video, but please play this song for the audience.
You're going to give me the song?
Yeah.
Exclusive.
Yes.
Never been heard before.
So this song was called This Season. And this is a song that we did mainly targeting Christmas. This song had Kolo, Sanaipei, and Kanji.
Yeah, I get it. I know the song.
Yes. So please play for the audience that song.
So hold on. So Masha is the one who produced this song?
Yes, Masha is the one who produced that song.
Okay, this is an exclusive that tumepatiwa hapa. Pewa hiyo ngoma.
Make them smile. nadhani ningefananishwa na Santa Claus. Kila mwisho wa mwaka ninge drop off your chimney na ka gift kolo, asante boss. So wacha niwapeleke zile zama za kale, ile time wa Kenya walijua kupare. Nakumbuka nikipelekwa shopping frima, fubu lebo ndonjumu, a Nike dreamer tick. Whatever happened to the good old days, huh? Hanging out with all my coozos, hey. So this year we're fanya juu chini enjoy me pia nitafanya the same. Gia the pull out CD yangu ya Bonnie M and Jim Reeves ama kitu kaki. Greetings from Kolo and all reasons you should celebrate with me in all seasons.
I'm calling out to you. I wanna see you reaching out and then you touch somebody. We can make them smile. We can make them happy. It's been a really long while, but we gotta make it happen. I wanna go down memory lane and reminisce on the days we gathered around. Marafiki mazawadi na macarol, never mind a different color. We were there for my brother, cared for his sister. Nobody was a stranger, love was the anchor. And we sang and we danced and rejoiced and made sure we were all with joy. So this season, let's get back that gift of giving. This season, I'm calling out to you. I wanna see you reaching out and then you touch somebody. We can make them smile. We can make them happy. It's been a really long while, but we gotta make it happen.
I'm thinking of the shopping sprees, the parties and the presents and the Christmas tree. Wait a minute, excuse me please, that wasn't the way it was supposed to be. It's so easy to drift away and think that this is just another holiday. There's something absolutely special about this time of the year. The little baby in the manger, to him I say this parade.
You touch somebody, yeah, we gotta make it happen. This season, I'm calling out to you. I wanna see you reaching out and then you touch somebody. We can make them smile. We can make them happy. It's been a really long while, but we gotta make it happen. You touch somebody, yeah, we gotta make it happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, another thing that I was reminded again by,
First of all, where can guys get this song?
unfortunately, we didn't release it because we really wanted to do a video.
Okay.
And then it's one of those seasonal songs where if beyond Christmas, then it doesn't get much airplay. You know, like the way there's this album that I think Victor Say was behind, a Christmas album.
Yep.
Those songs then don't necessarily get airplay the rest of the year.
It's true.
It's a December song. But I
Yep.
think this song was a good song.
Yeah, it was.
And I wish we had done we had resources at that time to do a video.
So tell me, hey, hold on, even before we move into something else, because we're not coming back to this era, I want to know more about this Zary company that you and Nameless.
So we ran this company for a while. Actually, we ran it until probably 2014, 2015.
What?
Yes.
That's the other. That's okay. No,
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
the other day, but it's longer than from 20. It's also almost 7 years.
Yeah. But the challenge we had was the business of commercials really took a hit. And I'll give you a very simple reason why. So we would do, say, a radio commercial and charge a client 100K, 150K, 200K, and clients were paying.
Yeah.
Then came radio stations that would do it for 15K, 20K. Yeah, because they have everything in-house and, then they use their on-air talent to, so they just killed it for a lot of people.
So in fact, you see with another, there's a rabbit hole hapa tunakimbia down. So you're telling me that in the beginning, the days of Bruce Odhiambo, for brands to get jingles and music tunes, they had to come through agency. Agency connects them to the studios.
Yes.
So now the evolution of that, and then agency gets that song, and that company takes that song onto radio, because that's why the company wants a jingle.
Yeah.
To support their brand when their brand is on radio or on TV.
Yes.
So now the disruptor in that market was radio.
Yes.
What?
That's my theory. Maybe someone else out there has a different theory, but that's my theory.
Okay. Very, very interesting to know that. So what?
Remember, by the way, a lot of the record labels, a lot of the studios back then were actually running on commercials, doing commercials. So you'd find even kina Ted Josiah, kina
Kijiji, where I talk about
kina
Kanji.
Samawati, all those were running largely on commercials, because here's the thing, you can do a commercial in one day and you finish it and you make that money, but then you won't make the same money with music back then. You won't make even a tenth of that money, but you'll take even 10 times as long to do that one song.
10
so you find, in terms of work, you're spending 90% of your time as a studio doing music and 10% commercials. But in terms of income, it's the other way around.
Ni kweli.
Yeah.
Ni kweli. So
But the music was important because the music kept the producers relevant, so the business came in thanks to the strength of the music. So the music was more of
your CV.
The CV. So when you hear a song going out with the name of the producer, it's the CV of the producer for commercial business.
That is 100% true. There's a time I gave out my album for free. I said, and guys, I said, pay whatever you want. Guys got upset, but me, I knew what I was doing. My CD was my CV. Let me ask, again, still in the same time, your relationship with Nameless, how does that? Because now, by the time you and Nameless are forming a company together, we've not really talked about Nameless. By the time now you're entering that level of Bandsoft, you've talked about Bandsoft, but you've not talked about going in deep like this with Nameless.
I mean, of course, we became friends with Nameless back then.
Over the Ogopa time.
The
gigs.
I was even one of the lucky guests to be invited for his wedding in Naivasha back then. I remember I was even hanging out at that wedding with Sanaipei and with Talia. So we ended up becoming friends for a long time, and I'll even tell, oh my God.
Say it. Dude, that's your signature. Don't not say it. And I'll even tell you why. It's important later. Dude, don't stop saying that thing. That thing it's juice in this story.
Okay. Nameless pops up in my life so many times where it even goes beyond the industry.
Okay.
Yeah. So we of course became friends along the way a lot. And then if you sit with Nameless is a very curious person, and at the same time he's very opinionated. Like you can go for a meeting with him and you have, like, let's say 5 things on the agenda. You'll talk for 3 hours, but you'll only have tackled agenda number 1 because he's a guy who goes deep. He's a guy who, and then this is the beauty about Nameless. Nameless is that guy who he really tries to understand everything, and it plays out even in his own personal relations with people. I can go to Nameless because Nameless is one of the people who I vent to. Like I can go to him to cause about something, but then he's digging, trying to figure out, why did this person do this to you? So, in fact, Paka, sometimes we tell him, you just like teteaing everyone, but he's always looking for the good of other people. So we became friends and we were always exploring. So when the idea of the studio came up, it was it was an easy conversation. We went out, we checked out the place, we started putting it together, we bought equipment. But Masha is the one who used to run it full time, because now, of course, Nameless was doing his artist thing, and me, I was moving from job to job here and there.
Okay.
So our work, Nameless and I, was mainly to use our contacts to push for business to the studio. Yeah.
Did you have some good return days on that company?
We had some good returns, and I'll tell you, by the way, I was even looking at the numbers the other day. I think by the time we were getting to, I remember I looked at the accounts for 2011, 2012. I think we were clocking about 15M a year.
Yo.
Yes. It was good money. That's gross, of course.
There's
voiceovers you have to pay and whatever. But I mean, still, it was good money. Like, it sustained us to the point where Masha was on salary from the studio.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
So it was a good thing. And we always felt like if we put in more, would have gotten more at that point. But then now, at some point now, business started going down and, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sir, that one I've understood. Okay. Is there another recap?
Yes. Now, you remember me telling you about when Issa passed on in 2003?
Yeah.
In 2007, I had another scare.
Whoa.